I want to introduce us to a little bit more than what we got last week, which is called
Tie the knot. Lose your health coverage when you get
the
let go. Welcome someone new.
right here. The learning the Hebrew culture and the language. That's what we're learning. So praise the Holy One. Oh, Kadosh Akkad. Woo, what does it say? What does it say? What does it say? All right, so someone tell me what's the first letter that we have here?
Shin.
Thank you. Has a dot on this side right here. What sound does that make? When it's over the shin on that side, on the right-hand side. SH. Dot is over on this side. It's just a regular S sound. Okay. What sound does this letter make right here? This letter right here. The second letter. Unmute yourself. What does it say? What's the letter? What's the name of the letter?
That is
a cough.
Looks like a cough.
Yeah, it does.
Uh-huh. Cough is a little bit more of a C look like that. But this is a different style. This right here, just to give you a hint, is like a noon. Okay, so they have different ones that look like a noon, a final noon, and they got the regular noon that looks like this, and then they have a little cursive noon that looks like this. So there's different styles. This is more of a block, modern noon, okay? So that's why sometimes it's hard for us to know what it is if we're not familiar with the writing style or how the letters are written, okay? You know, so this sometimes the shin looks like this, you know? And that's easy for us to identify. They kind of look alike. They have those three palms. But this one right here could look like a bet. It looks like a cough and all that stuff, okay? So that's a noon. And of course, you know, this last one right here is a yod, or what they call a yud. Either or, yud, yud, doesn't matter. All we care about is the sound, okay? So when we go shh, it's the first sound. Shh, okay? These two dots right here gives you what kind of sound? A. It could be A or A this way. Sounds exactly like gray or gray. Okay. A. So this sound right here is shh. Shay. Okay. Shh. A. Shay. Okay. That's the first syllable. The second syllable gives me, if this is a noon, what's the sound here? What's the sound for a noon? Huh?
Like a n.
Yeah. Don't say n because you put that that's a vowel sound on it, right? So just you want to just make the N sound. M. N. Okay. Shh. A. I. N. Okay. That's what this little makes. Shni. Shani. Shani. Okay. Shani. If I was to write it out, that's how it would look. Shani. Shani. Okay. This wouldn't mean anything to you, but it means Shani. Shani. Not Shani. Shani. This is an I for it, for sit, or kit. That's all you got to remember. Or what? pit. Anytime you see that dot, that's an I sound. Okay. That I sound right there is represented by the yod. So it's shani. Okay. I'm going to get rid of these. It's still shani. And that means second. Okay. That's what it means, the second. So this is an ordinal number. Ordinal, okay? For order, first. This is the second. This is the third, okay? So Rishon is first in order. That means first in order, okay? First. Second is Sheni. And of course, the third would be Shalishi. Okay, Shalishi. Okay, so that's how you're going to start learning your order of your ordinal numbers. Okay, for days and stuff like that. Just on a side note, this is second, but if it was just the number two, like a cardinal number, if it was a cardinal number for number two, it would be Shana. Okay, so Shani and Shana. One is cardinal, one is ordinal. Ordinal has to do what order it came in. Cardinal comes in like for, two. I got 2 pieces of bread, or I got, 2 feet, that kind of thing. So let's say it together. Shani.
Shane.
Shani. Okay. That's why I got these stairs, because he's taking his second step. Okay. Where's it come from? Of course, that's always something we're interested in knowing. It comes from these 2 letters, the shin and the noon. Shh. And a noon. Shh. Shh. Okay. You might ask, well, when you get those 2 letters together, do you make any sounds? Well, the common sound between any 2 letters is going to be an ah sound. So it would be shan. Okay. Shan. What does it mean? The action means it's sharp. The concrete has to do with it being your teeth. Okay. The letter shin, that's what it is, represents the teeth. The noon represents a seed, representing continuance, something that continues, because that's what a seed does. It continues life. It's a continuation of something. Okay. When you combine these, it means the teeth continue. The 2 front teeth are sharp and are used for cutting foods by pressing down. Okay. So that's where they get this word from your teeth, your 2 teeth. Okay. Shan. Shan. Ni. They call it Shane, excuse me. So it said Elohim, Kadra, Hadon, Hadra Kuya, Sha Mayim, Cain, Hagya, Erev, Wa, He, Boquer, a what? There is no word for a in Hebrew, so they're just for translational purposes. Is, how do you say second?
Shane.
Shani. How do you say day?
Yom.
Yom. There was, or there existed.
Haya.
Haya. Don't be afraid. Haya. How do you say morning?
Boquer.
Boquer. How do you say sky?
How do you say what?
Sky.
Sky.
Mashayim.
Sha.
Shayim.
Ma. Yim, which are the 2 waters. Sha means 2. Mayim means waters. Okay. And then what they would call heaven. Okay. How do you say evening?
Rev.
Got a rev. Okay. Perfect. How do you say and?
Wow.
Wah.
Ha.
Wah. Uh-huh. How do you say the?
Ha.
Ah. That's just this is all it is. It's ha. Okay. How do you say dome?
Rakia.
That's our friend. Remember her name? Raquia. Okay. We know how to say Elohim. What does Elohim mean?
Power.
Power. And here is the power, but it's multiplied. This is plurality here, and this is power. The power is multiplied. And kara, okay, Q-A-R-A, kara, ha, on English and Hebrew, ha raquia, raquia, shamayim. So now we see that the creator is calling the dome that he made, he's calling the Hashamayim. And then it existed, and we're on the second day. So we're on the Shani. Shani what?
Shani Yom.
Shani Yom. So when I tell you Yom Shani, right? You'd be like, oh, I know what that is. I say, I'll talk to you Boquer. Okay. Or Bob Boquer. You'll be like, oh, the morning. Okay. Why is this important for us to know? Just so we'll know words? No, because the actual letters have power in them. They're his words, they're his letters. So what he's doing is, if you read the Torah, you begin in the book of Bereshith, the beginning, everything that's associated with this in particular, Yom Shani, everything that's involved with it will begin to give us better understanding when you're reading other parts of the Torah or other parts of the prophets. You'll understand when he mentions the second, what he may be referencing. When he means Akkad, you'll understand what Akkad means. You'll understand what happened on that day. And it sheds, well, let me ask you something. So far, what did he do on the first Akkad, the Akkad Yom? What did he do on Yom? We know he Bada Elohim, the Bereshit, Bada Elohim. What did he Bada Elohim? He made the Hashamayim and the Wa'et Haaretz, right? And then he says, Wahaya or Wahi or. And or is light. And so we understand that that's associated with that day. But what did he do? He called the or what? What did he name or?
Light.
Yes, but but it's or, but what did he change the name or to?
Oh,
Yom. Day.
Yom. Good that you got that. So listen, anytime you see the day or you're in the day, understand that we're in that period of Yom. I mean of or. Do you see why? Do you see why the Shabbat cannot be darkness? Do you see that? The Shabbat cannot be darkness. The Shabbat is associated. That in particular, Yom Shavi'i is the day. The day is named Or. So when you see the light, and you'll see it, okay? You'll see it. Okay. And there was evening and there was morning. Okay. There's two evenings. This one here is the beginning of transition. It's the beginning of a transition from darkness to light. Yah's put one on one side and he put one on the other. And at the top of that, you come here, boom, here's the light for the day, the Yom, and then it goes over to Arev, and then that's when the day is over. Then it starts transitioning. So there's two transition times. And those transition times are really what they would call Havdil. There's a separation between when Yah says, let me divide, there's the divisions between those times. Okay. When he talks about, make sure that they're clean on the third day. I'm coming on the third day, or don't let anything stay until the third day, or make your offering to me in the morning and in the evening. You got to know which one he's talking about. Is he talking about this first evening or is he talking about the second evening? in context, when he talks about it, he mentions the morning first, then he mentions the evening. You see? So that gives you more understanding. Okay. So shani is for second. Okay. How do you say this first letter right here?
Ha.
Wa.
Wa. Wa. Wa. Okay. That's a yod, which that means what?
And.
And if it's in grammar, it's what? He. Use your
He.
phone unless you answer. Yes. Kara means what?
Called.
Call or proclaim. Call or proclaim. That means to proclaim it out loud. Okay. And so the he who's speaking is who?
Elohim.
And Elohim is the power of powers, has made a declaration. Okay. And what does this letter Lamed mean?
Word and staff.
Staff and authority and to lead. Okay. So he's speaking, he's proclaiming, then he uses his staff to proclaim, to call out to the name of the dome, which is Raquia. Okay. Shah, second, water, Mayim. Okay. And then Wahi, and existed Arev, and Wahi, and existed Voquer. I say vo because there's no dot in it. And that's another grammatical thing that we got to go over later when we get to our grammar. Sometimes you go see the bet with the dot in it, and sometimes you're not going to see it in it. Depends on what's being spoken. Okay. The next part of that is what? What's the next word after voquer?
Yum.
Yom. And then finally, our last part.
Shani.
Sheni. Sheni. Okay. Does anybody remember what this letter means?
That's the
Pay.
Yes, to pay, but it's called a putuka.
The tikakat.
And it means your mouth. That's to pay. And pay means your mouth. It means to, and what do you do with your mouth?
open.
You open it.
Open and speak.
You understand? So now Yah says, I'm done putting this in your mouth. And now I need you to open your mouth again, because I'm about to put something else in it. Okay. All right. All right. Put your phone on mute until, because it's getting some feedback. So the next one is called Mikwe. 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 You don't really get that Q sound too much because of where it's positioned and what's the vowel. If it was an ah sound, it would be different, but it's Mikwe. Okay. You probably heard this in some, what they would call Jewish circles as a mikveh. Okay. That's what they call it. But it's really not, there is no letter V. There's a V sound from a bet, but there's no bet here. So this right here is a wa. Okay. So you're going to put these two letters together here, and that's where you're going to get your mik or mik. Okay. And then you're going to go with the next one, which is a wa. And then you got the, which has this what? Two dots. That two dot is a sound. So that's way. Mikwe. Okay. Mikwe. This H right here is literally like silent. Okay. So mikwe. Okay. That's a mikwe. And a mikwe is basically a collection of waters. Okay. And usually this is the only time this word was used to represent when the holy Kadosh one of Israel removes the collection of waters from all over the earth and all over the Adamah, and he separates it all from the Aretz so he can see everything. Okay. Because remember, we're right now going into our third day. We already discussed our second day. Now we're talking about our third day. So on the third day, Yah is making another division. And what he's going to do is he's going to take these collections of waters and he's going to say, now let's separate them so we can see some things. So I'm going to put the water in different places in the collection. All right. So you say that as a mikwe. Okay. Let me represent this properly. Mikwe. Okay. Mikwe. So a mikwe is a collection of waters. To be able to present something. Okay. So the action or the parent root, these two letters right here, that's called qua. Q-A-H. If you were to say these two by themselves. Okay. But we see the two parents, we got another letter in front of it. We got this, and then we got this, and then we got this, and then we got a wa. And then we got this, and then we got that. So here's the two letters. Okay. So if you were in my Hebrew class and you were on the line with me today, what does me mean?
What?
Very close. I love that. It's really who.
I think Ma's
Okay.
what, right?
Okay. Let me put up another me. Here's a me, and then I'm gonna put another. What does that mean?
L.
Was like L. Thank you. Which is my Mikhail. Okay. You put the CH, but it's really supposed to be a K. Mikhail. Okay. Me who is like Ka El. So what they do is they put names that have compounds, they have different meanings. Okay. So when you have the word Don, El. So Don is what? Do you remember what Don's name is? One of the sons of Israel. His name means judge. Then I put this on it. So it's really Donnie. What does Donnie mean?
Judge.
Yep,
He
but
judge.
Donnie is judge, but that little
He judge.
yod right there, which is represented by the I, would mean my.
Not judge.
So who's my who's so Daniel in that book called Daniel? Why is it called named Daniel? Because who's my judge?
L.
El is my judge. Okay. Just trying to give you guys more understanding when you're looking at these words. Okay. So when you look at it, sometimes you get the compound word. Like I told you, wisdom is called kokma. Okay. Kok means power. And ma means,
Dang, you bring me my phone. Oh no, I got it.
okay. Kokma. What? The power of what? Power of what? That means wisdom. That's where you get wisdom from. Okay. So each one of these roots are a family. And once you learn what the family is, you'll be able to better understand what's going on. Okay. So you just familiarize yourself. So what is the action of quad is to collect. The concrete meaning of quad has to do with a cord. A C-O-R-D. What do you do with a cord?
You tie it, you can wrap it.
Tie, you bind, you make it bound. Okay. And you attach. Okay. So really binding, bounding, and tying. Okay. So now that we have this, when we talk about a mikwa, you're really talking about who is binding or tying. So who's doing the binding and the tying of the waters? Who's doing that? That's the question. Who is binding and tying the mikwa? From our text so far, who's doing it?
Elohim.
Elohim is. So now when it talks about the waters were collected and they were collected together, you can better understand how how did he do it? And why did he use this word? So every time we talk about quad, we're talking about a chord, we're talking about a time. Okay. So guess what? Separation and collection is not always about just separating, but collection also has to do with a chord. When you bind things together, you collect something together, you have to bind it together, because if you don't bind it, it'll come loose and it'll scatter. Okay. So we're going to continue to read so you can get some more information. Okay. So gather means to be bound together. Okay. So when Yah says that I'm going to scatter you, that literally means I'm going to do what? What happened when he scattered Israel? If to bind together is to bind and bound, what is scatter?
Separate.
He is separated, but he literally, if it was a cord that was holding us to him, I forgot where the scripture is, but it talks about he bound us to him. He tied us to him. Oh, there it is, Jeremiah 13. When he told Jeremiah, take that cloth and bind it to yourself. And, tie it around yourself, bind it to yourself, and then untie it and go hide it into a rock in a place. And then when you go back a couple of years later, go get it and then come show him, and now it's no good. He said, I've bound Israel to myself, but I've also, it's going to be a time I'm going to unbind Israel. Israel is going to come back. It's going to be literally filthy. Okay. So when we talk about being scattered, Yah's telling literally us what he's doing. He literally untied us. We were bound as a family. Now I'm going to untie you. Everything, I've been holding all of you together. When I gathered you to tie you and bound you together and to bind you to me. Now that you scattered, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to untie you. Okay. Now, what happens when you untie an animal and it's wild?
You run like free slaves.
It wanders off. Okay. To wait means to be held back by being bound. Okay. Because this word has a meaning in waiting as well. To wait. It means to be held back because it's being bound. Okay. So when Yah brought us out, he literally led us out like a herd of sheep. And he's saying, listen, I bound you. I had a shepherd ahead of you and everything. Okay. Then Israel started getting wild. So he tied them up. He tried to discipline them. Hey, let me tie you to me. Remember, I told you when we walk with Yah, and he is the ox, he's the strength, he's our El, right? There's I'm going to put not just the Hebrew letters, I'm going to put the Hebrew images. Okay, so there's the ox, and here's the staff. It's upside down. Okay, that's El. Here's this over here, and then here's the lamed. Okay, so when we get, and it means actually yoke as well. When we get with Yah, what Yah did was he yoked and bound himself to Israel as a younger ox. Okay, we're a little baby ox. Okay, and we're powerful because that's part of our name. Part of our name is what? Yes, what? Ra, what? El. That's part of our name. Yah says, I've called you what? I called you Elohim. You're an El. You're a little El. Okay, this is supposed to be me turning your head. So what I do is I've yoked you to me. I put a staff over your neck and over mine. So I got another one ox here, and then I got another ox here, and I'm teaming them up together. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a yoke on their neck, and we're going to bind them together. Okay, this is the older ox, and this is the younger ox. The older ox is going to teach the younger ox how to live, how to walk, how to do the cycles, how to go the circles. Because the number one, he's the ultimate teacher. Okay. So this binding of this, which is a yoke on the necks of these oxen, bind them together. They're bound together. Okay. And that's what it is. But now Israel has decided that, hey, we don't want to do what you say. You're only bound for a certain amount of time until you become more mature, so he can put you out there, and then you will become the more mature ox. And then he's going to bind something to us for us to teach the other people how to live. You guys kind of follow what I'm saying? So Yah has to teach us and train us. And then once he's finished with us, then you and I are going to be the ox, and then we're going to find another ox, okay, which happens to be the nations. And then he's going to yoke us to them, and then we're going to be yoked to them. We're going to teach them how to live and how to walk and so forth and so on, okay? But the ox has to go around in circles. Okay, and they're not only just pulling a yoke, or they're yoked and pulling the what they would call a plow behind them. And I've showed you what a plow looks like. You know, it's like this, and then it's attached, and this part right here goes into the dirt, and then they have to pull it. And then once they pull it, all the dirt underneath it and stuff, and then they could get right into the surface. And then, you know, you plant your seeds and so forth. So it's agricultural. But the whole purpose of the ox is to be able to go in its cycles and to learn. And so it goes all the way around all the time. And then it keeps going and going until it starts becoming mature enough. And so it learns the ways, the path. Okay. So that's what the whole, the Kadosh one is trying to teach us, that I'm going to bind you to me. So Elohim said, let the water, the mayim under Takaf of the Shamayim be what? Gathered. And gathered there means to be mikwa. Okay. So I'm going to mikwa together into a kad, and I'm going to let the dry yabashah, or I think it's eretz, appear, and that's how it was. Haya. Okay. And so here it is. And he said, who said? Elohim Yekwu. Okay. So you see how when we get into a conversation or a text, they could use the word and then they'll add different letters. Okay. So the word by itself is the mem. And then we have the yod, and then we have the kof, and then we have the wa, and then we have this, the hey. Okay. But once you start adding different letters to this in particular word, you know, anytime you add, like you added he right here to the word, then this drops off. Okay. And then when we added the u on the end, that means plural, them, then this drops off. Okay. So that's part of our grammar that we'll get to later. I'm just trying to associate this word with the word that we're talking about, with a mikwa, still mikwa, but when he added these letters to the end of it, it changes the sound. So instead of it going mikwa, it's going yikawu. The u on the end, them, plurality, that matches with the plurality of the waters. Okay, because this is plural. Anything the end on it is, this is plural. Meaning power. This is plural. Okay, what else is plural? Any other plurality? Yeah, we got a female right here. You'll get into that later. Okay. Just wanted to show you that. So Wayomer Elohim Yikawu Hamamayim, the Mitakat, the Hashamayim, the El Makom, Ekad. Okay. And Wa The Ra'e. Okay. Wa The Ra'e. This is Ra'e, means to see. Okay. The high Yabasha. I was correct. High Yabasha. This means dry land. We're going to get into that. Okay. And why he came, and it was thus, and it existed so. But what I want you to take from it is that the Creator, Elohim, bound and gathered the Hamamayim. He tied it up, literally. So the question is this: can you and I tie water up? Who do you know can tie water up? No one. How can you and I bound water like he did? How much power do you think is really in this name? How much power is in his name? There's a lot of power there for him to tie up, not just to gather. That's a very simple way of thinking. the language says that he took these waters and he tied them up and he bound them. And he tied them up mitakath under the Hashamayim. So if he can tie the meaning under Hashamayim, meaning the two waters that are above the sky, which is the skies, he could take that and put them in one place. Listen to what I'm trying to tell you. He took all the waters that were under the Hashamayim, which is the sky, and he bound them to what? This L right here again is the strength of the staff. That's why it's used there, and it means two. Makom, to a place, one place. Echad, one place. Tedra'e, and Tedra'e, meaning saw. You were able to see the Yabashah, which is the dry land, and it was so. So that's how it happened. Yah used a binding tying method. Okay. But how did he tie it? Did he use some hands? What did he use to tie it?
His voice.
Thank you. Amar. Amar means what? Say. This means he. And this means and. And why? He, right? Why ye? Amar, which is pronounced Wayomer. Okay, we'll get into the grammar later. That means to say. Or in here, and he, meaning he said. So Yah can gather just by speaking it. So with that being said, what's spread out over all four corners of the earth right now? Who is spread out over all four corners of the earth right now?
We are.
Thank you. So what can happen for us to be gathered and bound back together? Tell me the one thing that has to happen, or what will happen so we can all be gathered. What does he have to do? What would Elohim do to gather us? It's right there, and here in the first word.
Call us.
What that means, that word Omar means say. All he need to do is say it. And then we'll be gathered. Okay? This is not magic. The reason why you're going through this is so you can find out how powerful he is. We're on the Yom Shalishi. Today was Yom Shabbat. So Yah's bringing us through the process of all his work. And in his work, he's going to tell us a story. One of the things that he says about his children is they don't know me. They don't know how I work. The reason why they don't know how he works because they don't read the Torah. They don't take the time to investigate this language and what did he say. So this word right here, Wayikawu, means I'm going to gather them. And the them are the waters. Okay. And you and I are spread to the four corners of the earth as if we were water. And also remember, it means to wait, but it also has this other meaning to be hopeful. That's the abstract term of it. To be hopeful. Okay. So we see our redemption in this in particular verse. On what day? We haven't said it yet, but it's Yom Shalishi. Okay. When did the Creator come and visit Israel on Mount Sinai? What did he tell him? On what day did he visit them? He says, wash your clothes today and tomorrow. Okay. And I will come to you on what day? On the third day, I'm coming to see you. Okay. So the third day, okay, is this separation of the waters from the land. Okay. And generally, sometimes the waters mean nations, right? That's what they said outside, we were able to see it. But in this case, on the third day, Yahweh has done this. Okay. On the third day. Okay. But all Yah has to do to gather anybody is just speak a word. All he has to do is say something. Okay. The other part of our word that we're going to talk about, what I just saw, is this word right here. Makom. We're going to find out what makom is now. Okay. Makom right here is a picture of a map all over the world. Okay. And there's waters just trying to keep the flow going. Okay. Water was, Yah had gathered all the waters in one place. The whole waters were covering the whole entire earth. Yah gathered all the waters to one place. Okay. And this is before the flood. Okay. So ma comb. Okay. It means place. Let me ask you a question. What does the letter mem represent? M-E-M. What does it represent in Hebrew? If you can tell them. Water.
Water.
So water. Okay. Perfect. So now let's put the piece. This is a puzzle. It's water. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the waters and I'm going to put them and grammatically, if anybody does know, what does it's a preposition. So what does the M also represent? It's not just water from an agricultural perspective, but what does it represent from a language or it is agriculture, water, and they use it for the preposition to mean from. So when you see a mem, it means from, because you have to go from one place to the next to go get the water. That's what they had to walk. They had to walk from their tents to go get the water. You understand? Or they travel from one place to the next. So that's why they use the letter mem, because it represents from. Okay. Kum or comb means to rise, just to let you know. Okay. That means kum means to rise, like kumbaya, kum by or ba, kumba, kumbaya. Have you guys ever heard kumbaya, kumbaya? You ever heard that? That kum right there is right here. That's the root. And that means to rise. Okay. And they're asking Yah to rise up and to come get them. That's when they sung that song, Kumbaya. Kumbaya, my Lord. Kumbaya. Okay. So to get them, they have to come to a place to come and get them. You and I are scattered to a different place. We're in Makom. Okay. Yahweh even has a place for his name. He says, don't put any altars or anything unless I tell you where to put it in the place that I tell you. Okay. And you'll find that in Deuteronomy, Davarim, chapter number 12, if you want to read that. It's all about the Makom. This word here, Makom, is used at least about, I think about over 7 to 10 times, Makom. Okay. And what place does he want his name to be placed? What part of the territory? Could somebody tell me the name of the city, the Makom? Zion. Okay. The city of David. That's where he chose out of that in particular tribe. Okay. But so Ma means from, rising. Okay. We'll look at it here. So when I look at a word, by the way, like this whole entire word, I ask myself, what possibly could be the two parents in this in particular word? Is 4 letters. 1, 2, 3, 4. Out of these 4 letters, we know that 2 of them are a parent. So who do you guys think the parents are? Do you think it's the mem and the kof? You know, do you think it's the mem and the kof, or do you think it's the kof and the wa? You know, which one do you think it is? I think it's, I'm not trying to be funny. I think it's these 2. Okay. So let's take a look. Always look and figure where's the root at. Oh, look. I said it was Yeah, I would say it's the mem and the kof, yes. But here they have it as a kof and the mem. Okay. Action. The action of this is to what? Rise. Remember, I told you that's what kum, right, in English means, or calm. It means to rise. Kum or quom. Okay. To rise. Like what? From what? A concrete, from a stalk. A stalk, where you get the stalk from? You get the stalk from the agriculture that grows out of the ground. Okay. So you have the ground, plants the seeds, the root takes place. Put in all different types of colors here. Put in red color. The roots start coming out, okay, into the ground underneath, and then all of a sudden you get this little stem that comes out and it starts growing. Okay. Off the stem, you have some leaves. That stem could be for a plant, it could be for a tree, it could be for wheat, it could be for barley, it could be whatever it is, depending on what type it is, what kind it is. Then after some time, you start getting some bulbs on it. And then after you have that and going through a different season and maturity process, those bulbs will ultimately end up turning into fruit. Okay. With the seed inside. Okay. And so the part of what we're talking about is the stalk, which is the stem. A stalk and a stem, exactly the same thing. It's the part that's up, that's rising up, that's going straight. Okay. So when we start thinking agriculturally, we have to, that's what Yah wants us to understand about how he sees our lives and what he wants us to do. Okay. So kum is attached to rising. Okay. And it's being a stalk. And so when you talk about rise, you also talk about raise. Because you have to raise this plant or this tree or this vegetable. You have to raise it a certain way. It's a certain type, and it requires a certain type of hand on it or a certain type of eye to watch it. So when something rises, is because it's going to raise up out of the ground. You raise your children. Okay. You raise plants. You raise animals. Okay. So you have to keep an eye on it. Okay. You have to watch it constantly while it's in the process of rising or raising. Because you're raising it for it to rise. And when you raise it, you want it to be standing what? I want it to be standing straight. Okay. So you can keep seeing this thing about straightness, ropes being straight, stalks being straight, animals walking in a straight line. Okay. You're always going to hear about seeing and watching and observation, keeping a close eye on it. You're going to always see that. Okay. So a rising or a standing of anything is to kum. Okay. So when he says kumbaya, raise up, Yahweh, stand up and come and buy and get us. Come and get us, Yah. Okay. So kum means to rise. And this is now you have an understanding. The language has to do with agriculture. That's what it has to do with. And once you learn that, and what does the letter kof mean? You know, by itself. Any guys remember?
Horizon.
Yep, from the horizon of the sun, right? So it's the gathering of light. I don't know if you remember that part that I did a study on, but let me see right here. Can you still see my screen? Yes.
It's still on the rise and stalk.
Oh, still on the horizon. Okay, so here, let me do this. And just give you a quick preview again. Where is it at the Kof? Lamed Mem Noon Sin Samak Ayin Pay. It should be Zadi Kof, right? Zadi Kof. Here it is, Kuf. Okay. So there's various meanings of this letter. Are the sun. It means the revolution. It means a circle. I'm talking about with the letter. means, okay? This letter can also mean to condense as light gathers at the sun. So at the end of this day, the light is going to start gathering its light to itself at the horizon. It can also mean a time of revolution or go around. The sun is used to calculate time. So the letter itself, by itself, means that, okay? So here it is. That's how light is gathering, okay? To encircle, to condense, okay? So when we look at these definitions and we look at these words, if we keep everything in mind, we can't just be like, oh, it's just the horizon. It has multiple meanings, various meanings. It's very, what I would say, dynamic, okay? What did I just push on there? It's a dynamic language, so. Okay, close this out. What do you guys see? Do you see the rise stalk? Do you see that?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. All right, so we got that now. All right. So now it says this: Elohim said, "Let the water, the mayim, the tikath under the sky, the hashamayim, be gathered." We know what gathered means now. We know that's the mikvah, together into one makom, into a place. So he's asking the water to what? Literally. Look what he said. What is he doing with the water? He's asking the water to rise up and stand. Do you get that? Yeah. I need you to, I'm telling the water to, I'm speaking to the water to tell the water to stand up and rise up so I can see the dry land. That's what I need you to do. I need you to rise up. I need you to kum. You understand? Makom, meaning literally ma means what? From what? From rising. Because that's what really what ma is. Ma means that sound, that end from rising, from rising. And that's how it was. Elohim, Wayomer Elohim, to Yikawu. And then Yikawu means to tie up and bind the waters from underneath the Hashamayim to El Lamakom. So literally, folks, what the creator did was when he asked the water, when he gathered, let me just use the gather the waters, and we know the gather means to Yika, the mikvah, right? The mikvah right here, as you remember, is to bind and tie up. So I'm gonna bind up and I'm gonna tie up, but before I do that, I'm gonna ask the waters, I'm gonna speak to the waters. I'm gonna ask the mayim, I want to tell them to stand up like a stalk. And when the stalk is all gathered together, what I'm going to do when I gather stalks together, you do what with stalks? You tie them up and you bind them. That's what you do when you gather all the different stalks together, you bind them up and put them in a standing, kum. Okay. So this is what he said. He bound it with his words. He's making the waters on the earth stand up so he can bind them up. Woo. Okay. Any questions? Because my mind is getting blown. That's what's going on with me. I don't know about you. My mind, you guys, I've done this before. I've studied this before. Okay. And I've put the slides together many years ago, but every time I read it and every time I get something new out of it. So that's why I'm blown away as well, because I'm like, I never saw that before. So the more you spend time with him, the more you're going to get it. Yes.
Is that kind of like what Yah did when the children of Israel came out of Egypt, going through the water on dry land?
Yes,
The Red
that's
Sea.
perfect. And see, I didn't see
He
that.
made the
but you
water
just-
stand up.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So by the way, that was a creative work. Remember, he says, I've never done this before. And the signs and the wonders I've done, I've never done before. But I've done it for you. You see?
Yes.
So every time he does something for Israel, it's like he's doing something for like a creative work. A matter of fact,
Mhm.
he lists what he did for us as if it was a creative work.
Wow.
I could have went my pictures. I don't even know why I'm here. Let's get out of here. Okay, let me get back. All right, let's get back to the frame. Stop the share. That's perfect what you just said, Akoti. I'll show you guys something after we're done. So Yabasha. Okay. Now, you know what's interesting? You guys remember Fred Flintstone? I know you do if you're my age. You remember Yabba Dabba Doo?
Yeah.
What was it? What was the environment like? Was it wet or was it dry? Was it dusty? It was dry and everything was in a stone age, right? Remember all the stones and the dryness and the digging into big boulders and rocks and everything? Well, the name of this is not Yabba Dabba Doo. This one here is called Yabasha. Yabasha. That's the name of dry ground. Yaba Shah. This is a yod, which is the Y. This is a bet with a dot in it. So it gives me two B's and then the Shah right here. Yabasha. Okay. That's a pretty long word. Yabasha. Okay. Yabasha. Can you say it? Yabasha.
Yabasha.
Yabasha. Yaba Shah. Okay. Yaba. Here's the Yaba and here's the Shah. Okay. So he says when he asked the water to stand up, this is what he saw. He saw this after he asked the water to stand up in its stalk so he can tie it up and bind it so he can see what's here. That's a great deal of power. Okay. But where does it come from? Yabasha. Okay. So the letters here are bet and a shin. That's the parent. Because the parent has what? How many letters? How many parents do you have?
Two.
You got two.
Two.
So the parent root is Bosh, which is a B and there SH, Bosh. That's how you would say it if you had to say the parent's name would be Bosh. And if you notice, this letter is the father. This letter right here is the mother. So that plus that equals the parent. Okay. Word of wisdom, which I wish I would have known this language prior to getting married and having children and having a family. You can see even in the way that you pronounce this parent, it's called a parent root, not parents. It's a parent root, a sharesh. That's a parent. The parent is called one name, not two. Not, you know what I'm saying? It's not mom and daddy. It's boom, parent. One name. Okay, parent. It means everything has to work together. The child root is going to be how many letters? The parents are two. The child is going to be three. So it's the father plus the mother equals the child. That's a child root. Okay. 3 letters for a child and 2 for a parent. It's just a family. Okay. So the action of this Bosh is to wither. It means to be dry. Okay. That's the concrete meaning, to dry. And it also has an abstract meaning of shameful. Okay. And I'm going to explain this to you because you need to really understand what's shameful to the creator. Okay. A drying up of a land, the land is going to be dry, a stream could be dry, a plant can dry, and etc. Even a human body, it'll wither away. Okay. And it goes through a process of drying out. So it's losing what? It's losing its moisture. Okay. It loses its moisture. When it loses its moisture, then it withers away like a plant or a flower. Okay. Or a fruit, it starts losing its moisture. Okay. Well, what's the shame about it? I'm going to tell you what's a shame. What's a shame is this. That's a shame. Okay. The same word, Yabashah, is a word that they use for wilderness or desert. Okay. What's shameful about this picture?
It's desolate.
Is thank you. Praise the Kadosh Akkad. What you just said, it was desolate. Okay. And that's true because that's what Yabashai is, it's desolate. Because there's nothing to look at, right? So it's desolate and it's a ruin, okay, because it doesn't have any fruit. When you have fruit, you have water. Okay. Yahweh took Israel out to the wilderness. He took them out to so many different deserts because he was trying to let them know what and who they were. He actually told them too, when you get to a certain mountain, there's two mountains. One is called Aval and the other one is called Gershom. Okay. Gershom or Gershom, I think, if I'm not mistaken. One was very bountiful, but had some shrubs and different, life, on it. And the other one was barren. Okay. A dry ground in a desolate place is barren. And it's barren of that which is called to be fruitful. So if you and I are not following Yah, then we're not going to get any Torah. The Torah gives water to the land because Yah said, if you do what I'm telling you, I'm going to send the water in its seasons. Because you guys are dumb and stupid people, you don't understand that every word that comes out of my mouth, which is all the instructions that I give, can give life to this. But when you don't do what I say, I'll remove the water from you. Okay. And it's going to be a shame for you because what's going to happen is if I take away the water from the earth, okay, and this is what you would end up, does this seem like a very fruitful land or does this seem like something that you would call famine?
Famine.
There's nothing growing here. And then ultimately, if the land looks like this, oh man, I hope someone watches this lesson because it's a great lesson. If the land looks like this, then you're going to look like this too. And then your animals are going to look like this too. And everything is going to wither and everything is going to die. Where did you and I come from? When Yah made humanity, where did he make them from?
Came from the earth. The dust of
He
the
made it from the Yabash. Yeah, he made it from the earth. And if the earth is Yabashai, it's shameful. It's not fruitful. A woman who can't have a child or is barren is dry. She's Yabashah. A nation that don't bear any fruit is dry ground. It's a shame, very shameful. It's a shame. This is a shame over here. This is very shameful. Because look at the vastness of it and look at the what they would call the potential. It has potential, but it needs something. It needs Yahweh to give it rain. If Yahweh puts rain on it, it would be fruitful. And the rain in our case would be the Torah, but it's always represented by water. So agriculturally speaking, if we don't do what Yahweh says, like he says in Leviticus chapter number 26, he says that if you guys don't do what I say, I'm going to withhold the water. And when I withhold the water, this is what it's going to look like. And then ultimately you're going to experience a famine and you're going to look like this. And everything you have is going to die. Okay. So so there's multiple ways that Yah can deal with us. But one of the things that he does is he withholds water, okay, from things. Okay. I just wanted to bring that point out. And also too, a stream. Once the water leaves the land withers away. Once the water leaves the streams fish and it die. And what do you think that smells like? What do you think a stream full of dead fish smell like? It's very foul, okay, and it's shameful, okay? So remember that. When talked about in Ezekiel, chapter number 38, he talks about the valley of dry what? Bones, right? And they were withered and they didn't have any flesh on them. It's literally a shame. The drying up of a nation, okay? So this word Yabashah has a lot of implication, and there's the parent is Bosh. Okay. Matter of fact, one of the words for it is what they would call is bosh, but also too bush. You'll see that that's a Hebrew word for bush, right? It still has the same letters, these two parents, but one is bosh and one is bush. Bush means to be shameful. To be foul. Elohim, Kara, what? Ha Yabashah. What did he call the Yabashah? He called the Yabashah Eretz. Okay, and he's gathering together Mikwa of the Hamayim. He called them the seas. So when he made those waters stand up, he called those the seas. And Elohim saw Re'eh that it was good. And here it is in Hebrew. Wayikra Elohim, and he called two. So there's the other, what they would call preposition to give you the either the direction and a lamed in the beginning of a word is two or four. In this case, is he's saying it to Yabashah. You see how he's talking to the Yabashah? He's calling out to it. He's proclaiming to the Yabashah Eretz. So the real name of land is really Yabashah. The real name of the Raquia of the sky or the Shamayim is called the Raquia. The real name of the light is not called Yom, it's called Or. You see? And Yah's changing names. You see? He's recalling, he's defining them, and he's giving them their name, which means he's giving them their character. He's letting you listen what I'm about to tell you. He took Yabashah, which is complete dry land, after he absorbed all the water and made it stand up and bound him into seas. What was left was what called the Eretz. Okay. And Ula, and that's and two, Mikwe, there's the Mikwe right there, the gathering binding of the water, the Mayim waters, he called Quara, okay? He called Mayim. He called to the Mayim, what? And Wayar, he saw Elohim. I'm missing a word here. I'm missing a word. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm sorry. Yamim. I said Yamin. That's not Yamin. That's Yamim. Yam, Mim. And that word right there means seas. Okay. Plurality right here. The word for sea is Yam. Just to let you know, write it down. S-E-A in Hebrew is really Yam. D-A-Y is really Yom. So Yom is day and Yam is sea. More than likely, when you look out, you look to your left and you will see the sea when the sun drops down on this area over here. I don't know if that's on the East Coast, but that's how it is. Usually people see the sea, okay? When the sun is going down, it's true, okay? So Yam and Yom, and there it is, Yam. And why does it call it Yamim? Because it has plurality to it. So it's the S's, the Yam. It's the C's, okay? I'm not missing any words. I misread it. All right. Here it is. Yam. That's the C. Okay. That's the C. So what did what's he called it the Yamim? So the gathering of the waters. So what is really the sea? Is the sea really the sea, or is the sea really something else? What's the sea? Remember, the day is not really Yom, it's really Or. What's the sea? The dome is not really the Raquia, it's not the Shamayim, it's Raquia. So Yah is renaming things. So the land, the Yabashah is, or the Eretz is not really the Eretz, it's the Yabashah. So he turned around after he did this, after he gathered and made the water stand up and bound him into the sea, to the seas. He named the Mikwa, he named it Yam or Yamim. Why is Yah changing names? Why is he calling? Why is he Wayikra? Why is he calling out to them? Why is he proclaiming them different? Why is he saying to the Mikwa, Yamim? Why is he saying to Raquia, Shamayim? Why is he calling to Or, Yom? Why is he calling to Koshek, Lila?
He's
Why?
giving functions.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. He's letting us know that when something has to be changed, right? And it has to function, I'm going to change its name. When Yah met our father, Abraham, what did he do? He changed his name. When he talked to changed his name, he changed who else's name? He changed Sarah's name from Sarah to Sarai. From Sarai to Sarah. You understand? When he encountered our father Yaakov, what did he do with him?
Changed his name.
Changed his name. When he set his love upon Shlomo, which is Shlomo's, that's not his real name. You know, what's Shlomo's name? Somebody tell me. I know you know it, Gondra. What's his name?
Solomon.
Yeah, what's Solomon's real name? That's your homework.
Is it Lemuel?
Nope. Solomon has Yah named Solomon. Yahweh gave Solomon another name. His name is Yediah, Yediah, something like that, Yediyahu or something. His name is different. His name is not Shlomo. That's not his name. Okay, Yah changed his name. My point is Yah changed his name based on function. Yaakov means to be on the heel of something, and because. And he's always talking about the house of Yaakov. Yaakov is when he talks about Yaakov is in the process of becoming something or becoming someone. When he talks about us being Israel, you and I are from the house of Yaakov, but ultimately we want to be from the house of Israel. If you're a house of Israel, you have to function as a ruler and as a leader. If your name is, you got to live up to your name. What I'm saying is, whatever your name is, you got to live up to the character of that name. If Yah is going to give anybody a name, they got to live up to that name. This lesson is awesome because Yah was showing us something, and he's showing us through the Torah. He said, you don't know how I work. Now we're finding out how he works because we're looking at his work. If you want to know how Yah works, look at his work. You got 6 days to do your work. Okay. And on the 7th day, you'll do my work, meaning you'll look at my work. Oh, you better hear me. So we're doing that today on Shabbat. We're resting so we can find out what his work is and what has he done. And here we're seeing that Yah is changing names because he wants to give it function. Once it starts functioning, he changes his name. He calls out to it. Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. So the name for sea is Yam, and that's beautiful, isn't it? So could you imagine Yahweh, like Akoti has said, that Yah had Mikwa, he separated, he gathered and bound the water. He did. And Israel walked on what kind of ground? Say it in the Hebrew. What'd you walk on when you walked through the Red Sea? What'd you walk on? You walked on Yabashah. You hear me? You walked on Yabashah. You hear what I just said? Yah has never done that for any other people on the face of this earth. And it was a creative work. So when he divided that water, listen, folks, anytime Yah's doing a division and he's moving stuff like the Jordan River and all that, those are creative works and they're called wonders. It went beyond what he has done. He's adding to the creation piece. Yam come, the two letters, of course, is easy for the parent because it's just two parents, right? Here's the parent. Okay. The action is nothing. We don't know what the action is. The concrete is a C. Okay. And the abstract means terror. Why? Why was it terrifying? Because the letter Yod represents the hand working, right? Remember the hand. The Mem represents water. You put those two together, it means working water. The water is working. Whether it just sits all beautiful and nice and looks calm, it's working. It's doing some work. Yah told the sea, don't go past a certain point. He told the Yam, don't go past this point. I don't care about your work. And you know what your work is. You know what your boundaries are. Okay. So when you combine these, it means working water. The sea or other large body of water is a place of storms and heavy surf, meaning it could be a place of terror because you don't know what's going on. Okay. So Elohim called the dry land the Yabashah Aretz. Okay. And he gathered Mikwa, right, together of the Hamayim, and he called it what? The Yamim. Elohim saw that it was what? It was good. It's tov. It's functional. So to speak to Akoti Kandra, when I asked, well, why did he name these things? She said, because of function. Because the only thing that functions is that which is tov. This right here, with that word, you know what good is. Good don't mean good. Good means that it functions. It functions. It does what it's supposed to do. It's the functional. It functions. Functional is functional. When it's good, it's functional. It functions. When it's ra, which is evil and wicked, okay, it does not function. It's dysfunction. Okay, just like you got your word disease, ease is right here, and that's why they call it disease, because it's raw, it's wicked, because it doesn't put you at ease. Okay, so that which is functional is the only thing that works are the things that are called tov and good. Why did we say good morning? Because the morning is good, it's functioning. If the morning wasn't functioning, would you call it good morning? No, you wouldn't. Why yikra? That's how you say it. Wa yikra. Elohim. To who? La. La what means two or four? La. Say it. La. La means two or four. Yabashah. So when you learn these roots and you learn these words, you be like, I know what Yabashah is. Just remember Yabba Dabba Do. You'll remember it. Yabashah Aretz. And Ula Mikwe. Okay. The Hamayim. Okay. See, this is where I got confused. Remember I said, oh, there's something missing. Well, the word here is the Mayim, water. And this looks exactly the same. But I forgot that they put a yod on here, which makes this Yam, which is seas. And this is the plurality of that. This is just waters. This is the seas. Okay. And then Wayar, he saw Elohim, Ki Tov, thus that it was good. It's Tov. It's functional. Okay. So you're getting your vocabulary together. You're learning how Yah was working. Okay. In closing, I just want to read something to you right quick. I just have a few minutes. I don't want to hold you too long. It's in Psalms, and it is, I read it and I was like blown away. And I was like, you know what? I got to share this because this is pretty powerful. Is it 130 or 140? What is it? Hopefully I didn't mess up. All right. If I can't find it in the next 30 seconds, I'm gonna forget about it. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. You guys ready for your last bonus piece? Here's your bonus. And I need you to add this to your file. Okay. Here's the file. Let me see. Close that up. Let me get you your file. Go ahead, put your phone on mute. Thank you. I'm gonna read this and then I ask any questions. So I'm gonna go to Psalms 136, okay? And I want you to see something. I'm gonna read it pretty fast just for the sake of time, but I want you to just kind of hear what's going on, okay? It says, give thanks to Yahweh for he is good. Can you see my screen? First of all, can you see it?
Yes.
All right, good. Give thanks to Yahweh for he is what? He's Tov. He's functional. For his grace continues for how long? Forever. Give thanks to Yahweh, the Elohim of Elohims, for his grace continues forever. Give thanks to the Adonai of Adonai, the master of masters, for his grace continues forever. To him alone who has done great wonders, for his grace continues forever. To him who skillfully made the Shamayim, his grace continues forever. To him who spread out the earth on the water, his grace continues forever. Now listen, he's starting to talk about everything that he's done, all the creative work that he's done. To him who made the great lights, his grace continues forever. For the sun to rule the what? The day. That's when the sun rules. The sun don't rule the night, and the day is not ruled by anything else but the sun. The sun to rule the day. The Shemesh to rule the Mashal, the Yom, for his grace continues forever. The moon is the stars to rule the night, for his grace continues forever. To him who struck down Egypt's firstborn, that is in the same list of what he said about the heavens and what he said about the earth, his power, his wonders. Him striking down Egypt's firstborn was a wonder and a sign. 11, and brought out Israel from among them. His grace continues forever. The roll call of creation, you and I and our family and our story is involved in the creation story. Listen, with a mighty hand outstretched arm, his grace continues forever. To him who split apart the sea of Suf, a Koti Pam, his grace continues forever. And him who made Israel's light, or Israel cross right through it, his grace continues forever. Okay. Why? Because why? Listen, but he swept Pharaoh and his army to the sea of Suf, for his grace continues forever. To him who led his people through the desert, his grace continues forever. To him who struck down the great kings, for his grace continues forever. He slaughtered the powerful kings, for his grace continues forever. And then he gives the name Sikon, the king of Imri, his grace continues forever. Og, the king of Bashan, his grace continues forever. Then he gave their land as an heritage, his grace continues forever. To be possessed by Israel, his servant, for his grace continues forever. Who remembers us when we are brought low? His grace continues forever and rescues us from our enemies. His grace continues forever. Who provides food for every living creature? His grace continues forever. Give thanks to Elohim, for his grace continues forever. Why did I read that? Because when I saw it, it blew my mind. When he mentions creation, he mentions what he's done for Israel. He has not done that for anyone else. Everything he did for us was like a creative act. It's just on the same level of him creating the sun and the moon and the stars. Now you can see, he says, if you guys can get rid of the sun, moon, and the stars, I can forget about Israel. Israel is a creative work. Y'all making Israel just like he made the sun and the moon and the stars to rule. Don't you understand? You got to live up to the name. You got to live up to the function of who your character is. That's how important we are. He put us in the roll call of everything he made and the power in which he did it. And he shows us how much power he has for us. There's no one like Yahweh. There's no Komoko who is like you. Nobody. And guess what? There ain't nobody like Israel. That's your lesson. You see, so the language goes hand in hand. Okay. Why is he saying his grace? Because he's saying, listen, I've rescued you before. Okay. and I'm going to do it again. I know when you're low. Just like I feed everything on the face of this earth, my rescuing you is a promise. If I'm going to feed everything, right? Because that's what's in motion. And if the sun is ruling the day and the moon is ruling the night and they're forever, then you better guarantee and know for sure that I'm going to rescue you. If I killed off your enemies to save you, you better know for certain that I'm going to rescue you. Who remembers us when we are brought low. That's the grace is part of his attributes, one of his character. He's telling about his character. It's his character that killed those kings. Grace is part of his character. It's one of his attributes. He says, I'm full of grace and truth. Is that what he said in Exodus 34:6? Shemot 34:6. The names 34:6, where he reveals his name in 34:6. His name is full of grace and truth. I'm merciful. Listen, 24, and rescues us from our enemies. And that's going to continue forever. He provides food for every living creature because that's his character. That's why you and I need to give thanks to him, because grace is part of his name. And because his name is great, the Gadol Shemka, and is set apart as Kadosh, you and I need to understand that we need to give him thanks because our rescue is for sure. Just like the sun and the moon and the stars. Woo! That's his character. Because that's where you find out his character, in the book of Shemot. Got it? So, any contributions, questions?
I wanted to say that I found the name for Shlomo in 2 Samuel 12
Thank you. What verse?
by Nathan. The last verse, 25.
2 Samuel, chapter what?
12.
Chapter
25.
12, and the last verse. Okay.
Yeah, verse 25, yeah.
Praise the Kadosh one, praise the Kadosh Echad of Yisrael. Yeah, that's his name. Okay.
Yedid, yeah, pronounce it Yedidia.
Yeah, Yedidia.
Yedidia.
Yeah.
Beloved of Yah.
Yeah, the beloved of Yah, which David's name is in his name.
Right.
You see, David's name is in Shlomo's name.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Shlomo means my peace. Okay. So
Right.
that was comforting. They named him that because it was comforting because they lost their other son because of David's transgression against the holy, the Kadosh Echad. So thank you for that. 2 Samuel chapter 12, the last verse. That's where you'll find Shlomo's real name. Okay. And Yah named him that. Okay. You guys, I had an excellent class today. I'm really excited about the things that Yah revealed today. I would say 75 to 80% of what was revealed today was never revealed to me before. So I'm with you. This is something new for me, just like it is for you. We're all learning together. You understand? So Yah's trying to get us to understand the importance of the language. You're important to him. You have great potential. You're not Yabashah. Well, right now we are because we're not fruitful. We're not being fruitful. But just like Yabashah was Yabashah, he turned around and renamed it and called it Eretz. And then he put some seed in it and then he watered it and then boom. The water came up through out of the earth and boom, it flourished. Okay. So that's what it is. So we'll find out how he works. With that, I say Laila Tov to you. And I say Shabbat Shalom. Anyone else?
Before we go, I wanted to say that we enjoyed your class. Thank you so very much. And it's really the favor of Yah upon us all that he would reveal, 80%, 75% of what you taught today, today for the first time.
For the first time.
That's wonderful.
I've had these, I made those slides probably 3 years ago. And I didn't know the stuff that he's revealing today. I didn't know that. He's showing it to me. Where I'm teaching, it's based on everything I've been learning over the last several years, but I didn't, the revelation of it. mean, he even revealed to you, like, I tied up the water for the Red Sea.
Yes.
That's a
Mhm.
creative work. He's never done that
Yes.
before. That's why he says that you need, that's why it's always mentioned. That's why he's always mentioning what he did. Have you noticed? He just mentioned it here. He divided it, and you and I walked on Yabashah. Now we can see, oh, that was a creative work. So when he talks about us, he's
Hmm.
talking about a creative work. He's not just talking about some
Yes.
ordinary people. He's talking about somebody that this is a creative work. What I'm doing with you is what I did to the earth. That's why we're tied in and locked into the Shabbat. If we go outside of Shabbat, we're going against his creative work. And you and I are, ooh, you hear that? We're part of it. We're part of the creative work.
Yes.
So if we violate the Shabbat, that means we violate the creative work that Yah has done. The work that Yah is doing on his people is a creative work. That's why it's taking the time that it's taken. It's not magic. It's a process. And you and I are going through the process.
Toda Rabbah.
Toda Rabbah. Anyone else? Condra, I want to hear from you.
I was reading over Leviticus 15, dealing with the laws of impurity. And
Yeah.
it just goes back to what you were saying about the Shabbat being in the daylight.
Yes.
So when you are ritually unclean, you're only unclean until even. So if the Shabbat was even, if the Shabbat went throughout the night, you would be unclean during the night as well.
Yes. See that? See, there's another bit of information. That's a revelation right there. I knew that you would stay unclean until the evening, but I didn't make the connection with the Shabbat like you just did. That's Yahweh. That's Yahweh showing us different things. He's preparing us. Okay. I want you to keep in mind the Yahweh appears to Yisrael on the third day. When he came down on Mount Sinai, it was on the third day. Listen to me carefully. On the second month. That's when it was. On the third day, on the second month. That's when he showed up. It was 60 days. Let me see. Was it 30 days? No, it was the second. No, let me verify. I don't want to give you misinformation. I do not want to give you misinformation because misinformation can lead you astray. You don't want that. You want to always, and this is what I've been trying to discipline myself about. I'm not going to say something I can't verify. So let me verify before I say it. It was on chapter number 19 in the book of Shemot, right? Oh, it's the third month. Okay. Not the second month. It's the third month on the third day after they left. Okay. It was on, and guess what? Here's the trippy part. It's not the third day of the third month. It's the third month after Israel, the children of Israel left the land of Egypt. They left Egypt on what day? They left on the 15th of the first month. They got to that second place, what they call the second month, on the 15th day when he gave them the manna. On the third month, on the third day of after the 15th. Okay. So listen what I'm about to tell you. Let me slow down. The first month they left. You remember Yah says this is the beginning of months for you in Exodus chapter number 12. They left on the first month on the 15th day, which is called Matzah. They got hungry and started complaining in the second month on the 15th day. That's when Yah said, let's give them some manna. And introduce manna to them. Okay. And and then here we are in the third month on the 15th day. Yah spoke on the same day. Listen, then he said on this day, he says, I'm going to meet you 3 days later. Okay. So the 15th counts as the first day, the 16th counts as the second day, and the 17th counts on the third day. Okay. Yah tells them that I'm going to come and see you on the third day. I need you to wash your clothes. So every time Yah would speak to them or do something for them, it would usually be on the 15th day of that month. Okay. He tells them that you need to go ahead and prepare yourself to meet me. I'm coming in a thick cloud. Where are we? All the people answer everything we say we'll do. Okay. Here's what Yahweh said to Moshe. Verse 10, go to the people today, which was on the 15th, tomorrow, the 16th, and separate them. Okay. Separation, having them wash their clothing. Okay. That it was a day when he talked to them. It was during the sunlight. Tomorrow, sunlight. Prepare for the third Yom, Shalishi Yom. Because on the third day, Yahweh will come on Mount Sinai before the eyes of all the people. Okay. I want us to remember that, because what you need to do is go back and look at what's going on the third day. And what we found today on the third day is that's when Yahweh called the waters and he gathered the waters to stand up and revealed the Yahweh Shah. Okay. And there's some other things going on in there. So we can always, and we're not done with the third day, right? But something goes on the third day. And the third day has this idea of gathering from that day, because he gathered on that day. The third day has this idea of binding, because that's how you do. We also have Yah speaking on that day, and it has an idea of waiting and being hopeful on the third day. Something to think about. This is just my assessment. I really believe that when Yahweh appears to us, it's going to be on the third day. And I believe in the book of Joel, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Chandra, he says that he said, 2 days I'll separate myself. I don't know exactly where the text is, but on the third day, I'll reveal myself. I'll save you. Isn't that what he says? I forgot where it is. It's about something about the third day. Okay. 2 days, but then I'll lift you up on the third day. Okay. Something like that. I'll try to research that one and find out exactly where it's at. So the third day is very significant. All right. Lila Tov, everyone. Thank you, Chandra, for your contribution. Thank you, Sister Pam. Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Kavika, Linus. Thank you, Gennaro. Thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you on Yom Shalishi. Hallelujah.
Toda.
Hallelujah. Praise the Holy One. Oh, praise Kadosh Akkad. Kadosh Akkad. Hallelujah.